Hey folks, Why Would You Ask That is a podcast that answers some of the weirdest questions. A lot of those are inappropriate for some listeners. If you're squeamish, easily disturbed, or just having a bad day, this may not be for you. But if you've got to know the answers like we do, stay tuned.
Why Would You Ask That? Presented by me, M, they, them, and
Karen, she, her, and
Remy, he, they.
So today we are answering a listener question.
our favorite type of
Yay.
question.
Yes, the first actual submitted listener question.
Via the podcast, website.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody used my contact form that wasn't
Yeah.
a spam bot.
Yeah! Woohoo!
So, are you going to read the question?
Yeah, what's the question? Let's do this. I'm ready.
I thought our listeners would be able to get it through telekinesis or whatever, so that's why I wasn't reading it.
Oh,
hold on,
no.
let me pull it up.
No, I got it.
to pull it up. I can
It's-
pull it up. I can do it.
I have it at the top of my notes. You're fine.
I'm gonna get it.
Oh my god, okay, it's fine.
From Sherman Potter. Are 15-minute cities feasible?
Are 15-minute cities feasible?
Yeah, that is it. That's the question. Good job.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I did it.
Good job. I'm so proud. What's a 15-minute city?
Yeah, what the fuck is that all about?
So, a 15-minute city, it's basically the idea is that everything you could possibly need is like just a 15-minute walk or bike ride away from you. That's the framework. It's just that everyday essentials, grocery stores, transit stops, schools, parks, and a whole bunch of other things, anything that you want or need in your life, where you work, that it's all within that 15-minute walk or bike ride from your house.
I used to live in a place like that, except it was a 45-minute city.
Well, that's not accurate then. That's not correct.
I said like that.
Mm,
A 45-minute walk on foot or drive.
Foot.
Did you do that? Did you walk 45 minutes?
Yeah, we did it a whole lot, actually. Well, I walk real slow, so sometimes it took longer, like maybe an hour, but...
That's not feasible for most people. Or you, I can't imagine. Like, your lungs are terrible.
Yeah, actually, I was in a lot of pain at the time. But, you know.
I want to know where this was, but I don't have to put it in the podcast.
Where's Prince Rupert?
Everybody was bad in that town. Is that just a bad place to live, health-wise?
It was more like it fucked with your knees, because it was on a mountain, so everything was on a slight incline, and so you were always climbing. The rate of our postal carriers having to get surgery for their knees was abnormally high. But yeah, we used to walk from one side of town to the other side of town to go and eat dinner with my ex-wife's family.
That's a lot. That's too much.
Yeah.
We didn't own a car. But, like, taking the bus was, like, a pain in the ass.
More of a pain in the ass than walking 45 minutes across town?
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
And, you know, I walked through that town all the time. So, and most places were within, like, a 15 to 20-minute walk from me, because I lived in the heart of town.
How big
Yeah.
was that place?
Like, with real sizes or with, like, made up in my head sizes?
Let's do that one, and I'll look up the real sizes.
Okay, well, we had about 13,000 people when I was living there.
Is that a lot?
No, that's really, really small.
Okay.
Remy, how big was Prince Rupert in real people terms?
In real people terms? Well, you want the actual measurements of the place?
Like the geography? The typography?
That's what you were asking, yeah?
Yeah, the area of the actual land size is 21.2 miles squared.
Yeah.
If you look at it on the little map, it's not very big at all. Because I know you're about
Oh.
to ask.
Thank you.
Karen, where you grew up at, would you consider where you grew up at to have everything walkable from you?
No,
Absolutely not.
not in any
All
way,
right.
shape, or form.
I lived there too.
It took 15 minutes to get,
Around the corner.
to get to the end of the neighborhood.
We lived in suburbia though. Like, it was just bad.
Well, all right. Well, because I mentioned it before, several times on the podcast, I grew up on the side of a mountain in a tiny, tiny town. There were, because I looked it up, as of 2021, at the last census, 2,510 people in the town I grew up in. But when I was living there as a teen, and younger, there were only 1,200 people living there.
Jesus Christ.
I know. I graduated with 83 people.
Oh my
83.
god.
Cody graduated with 23 people.
Oh my god.
That's so few people.
It is. And I only graduated with 83 people because we absorbed 2 of the nearby schools because they were so small they were deemed non-functional anymore by the Arkansas government.
Wow! That's small. That's a small school.
Tiny. So the actual area of the loosely called city over here on Wikipedia, because I don't actually think that it's big enough to be classified as a city, but Wikipedia is calling it a city, is 13 miles squared.
Christ.
13 miles squared.
Smaller than the one I was talking about earlier, most definitely.
Yeah, by 7 square miles.
Wow, that's tiny.
Yes, it is. We're right here, the school is right here next to Tractor Supply Co. and a flea market, and this ranch supply store, which is connected to a ranch, and there's also the Tyson chicken plant, which is right here next to the school also.
Oh, lovely.
I one time found a chicken that had escaped from the chicken plant when I was still in the elementary buildings, and I threw it back over the fence.
Oh no! Didn't you ever watch Chicken Run?
No, I don't think the movie had come out yet.
Oh!
But the moral of that story is that none of the teachers stopped me from walking away from the playground down the road to this chicken plant.
Well, Remy, were you able to do 15 minutes? Or was it a walkable air quote city? Because it looks like it's just like a whole lot of nothing.
It is a whole lot of nothing. So this is the edge of town here. So starting here, this is literally the one road that goes through town. Like, this is the single road that goes through town. There's the library. Like, passing the school. We are literally halfway through town now. There's the Taco Bell, which is on the outer edge of the town proper.
Mm-hmm.
There's the livestock auctions. So right here is the edge of town, and that's it.
Wow.
So past this point is just residential stuff. We have walked by every eating place in town now, the school, and the 2 places you can shop at in this city.
So walkable.
Yeah, me and my high school best friend, we literally did used to do that. Just her house was like sort of at the I can take you to her house actually. Okay, her house was like, I've never heard of it. I guess it's new. This is part of the park where all this water is. Okay, her house was like down in here somewhere, just sort of in here somewhere. And we would literally just start here at her house, and we would walk up to Walmart, and then turn around and walk all the way back down over here to this McDonald's. So, and it does take about 20 minutes to walk through the entirety of the city.
Huh. There you go.
And the downtown area over here, if you come over here to the downtown area, like over here, it is just a square. It's just a square.
It's just a square.
Like towns used to be. So yeah, 2 of us have lived in a place like this. The idea is not new. It's existed. That particular city that I lived in has been around, like, my great-grandpa, so my grandma's dad, has been living in the house that I lived in. He built it at the turn of the 1900s, so...
Yeah, so the idea of a 15-minute city is not new. I think it's just that it's been, it's kind of looked down upon because people move to like big metropolitan areas where it takes 5 hours to get to the other side of town because the place is so blocked up and the metro never works. You're sitting there and you're like, why did I even move to this city? This place is fucking horrible.
Because there's more shit there.
Yeah, that's why. That's why. They want more stuff. They want to be able to get more stuff. Yeah.
I got it.
People just like having things to do and having a variety. And when you have a 15-minute city, I feel like it would be difficult to do that. Unless you could build the city round. Okay? And here's where we get into my theory that we should all be mole people.
Mole people?
Mole people.
Well, I prefer termite people because my cool idea is we all live vertically.
Oh.
Stacked on top of each other like some kind of weird future city.
I don't want to go up. I want to go down because I believe that animals should be, up. And we just return to the earth.
Also be down, though.
But there's so many birds that are up. And if we're up, then aren't we just...
Then they will live with us. Pigeons, rock doves and shit, they currently rely on us. Pigeons and gulls and red-tailed hawks live in a lot of metropolitan areas.
Mm-hmm. You make some excellent points.
We are still animals that are part of the environment.
And with, the stacks from Ready Player One.
I have never seen, nor do I endorse Ready Player One. Let me just throw that out there.
I'm thinking Coruscant.
Who?
Coruscant. Coruscant? Coruscant. I never really know how to say it. I know how to spell it. Hold on. Coruscant from Star Wars.
I'm thinking about termites.
I was applying it to a real human city.
Well, there's also those apartment cities in China.
Or there's also a city in Alaska, I think it's in Alaska, where it is literally an entire city contained into a single building.
What?
I just want to live vertically and reduce the amount of space.
Karen, did you not know about this?
No, I don't. I don't know anything about anything, so please. Enlighten me.
Karen, you know a lot of things about a lot of stuff.
That's a bold assumption, but go on.
Yeah, in Alaska, there's a place called the Begich, maybe, Towers Condominium. So that city is called the Town Under One Roof because the city is notable for the fact that basically everybody just lives in those condominiums and everything you need is inside of them. There's 300 people inside of the city and they all live in those condominiums and the city has all of its shops and things in there.
This is what I think we should do, and I think we should have sky bridges in trains that go from one building to the next.
We should talk about weird communities around the world.
I agree.
There
it is.
We could blend my idea, my transport, my method of transportation in this building.
Yeah, in that building.
It's a hotel.
No, it's a condominium with shops and things in there.
Oh, great.
Okay, anyway, so the idea behind the 15-minute city is that the closer you live to your workplace, shops, schools, and other amenities, the better your quality of life will be. But the concept of a 15-minute city in which life's necessities are only a short walk or bike ride from home doesn't sound utopian to everybody. I think it sounds fine being close to everything I need to be close to because I hate long drives. And also, I don't see very well. And sitting in the car for a long time makes my back hurt.
Yeah, it sounds great to me. I would be able to walk everywhere, and I wouldn't have to get in my car and possibly die. I would just walk.
And you, Em?
I think it sounds neat. I wouldn't mind living in a 15-minute city. I do miss being able to just walk places. However, I do enjoy having a vehicle now.
Yeah.
Well, because I like to be able to haul things and go places. I like long drives, as long as I'm the one driving.
Yeah, the ability to carry things, I think, has been the big thing about cars. Not that we realize it. Getting from one place to another is very important, but also carrying things from one place to another. Because if you're walking 15 minutes from the grocery store and you get all the groceries that we do, it's
very painful. It hurts so much. because I used to walk groceries from one side of town to the other side of town. Or I used to do like a kilometer and a half to pick up groceries while my ex-wife was like working, and it was a lot because I also had weird pain issues back then. And I
Yeah.
would have to stop every 20 feet or so I could rest. It was hell. It was hell on earth. And even if I took the bus, it was just like trying to get in with all of your shit. It felt like you were a nuisance.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
me and Cody just bought a cart that we bought at Walmart for like $10 that you could carry your groceries in.
Yeah, there used to
It-
be all these wheelie carts and everything, but I lived it was unkind to wheels, but one of the people that lived down the road from us stole a shopping cart to move things back and forth between their apartment and the grocery store. So
Yeah.
yeah, we just bought this little wheelie cart that's basically as tall as Persephone is, and which is like about 4 feet tall. Uh, and it's basically a grocery cart, but that we bought, legally, didn't steal it from the store. Um, and then it just pops out into cart shape once we put it together, and then we can use it. We're going to use it to move stuff from this apartment to the next one so that we can just walk it from building to building and not have to spend as much money trying to move things just right down the road, basically. And so if you live in a real 15-minute city where things are made accessible for walking and is designed to be that way and not just like a place where you happen to be able to walk everywhere, but one that's designed with the idea that everything is accessible for walking and is made with intentional walking paths and bike tracks and stuff. A cart like that you can buy for $10 would solve the grocery problem at least.
until you get to the stairs. Uh
Yeah, other mobility issues would also need to be addressed
yeah.
and done better, like stairs.
Anyway,
So yeah, there's some thoughts on whether or not we think it's a good idea, and other than that snag, it doesn't seem like it would be a bad idea. But some people don't just think this has some hiccups, and I don't think it's a good idea. Some people, it's like a downright dystopian nightmare.
what? Why?
So to some people, it sounds like a restriction on their routine. To other,
Oh.
what?
No, I mean, I get it. I get why it sounds like a dystopian nightmare. I mean, you're all crammed in one space, and it sounds like there would have to be a lot of regulation and organization. And I mean, what if you don't like the person who lives next to you? What if you don't like any of the people that you live in the same area as?
Before I keep going, I need to explore the fact that you immediately understood why this might be a dystopian nightmare to people. Do you think you wouldn't be allowed to move?
Yeah. I mean, of
Why?
course, like there's like that you would be allowed to move. Wait, I'm sorry. Say your question again.
My question was, do you think you wouldn't be allowed to move to a different
Oh,
area?
no, you would obviously be allowed to move. Like it's just it's a lot to move. Like you get settled in your spot and you don't like any of the area, you don't like your job or you get fired or something like this. It just
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Aside from that, I think it's just that a lot of people like the variety of going to other places. But at the same time, if you have 15-minute cities, you would just have a 15-minute city right next door. So.
Yeah, so then you're just like going 20 minutes to the next place.
Yeah. So, I mean, I understand how people would think this is a dystopian nightmare because if you start stacking these places side by side by side by side by side, it's just like, I don't know. It feels like those movies that you see with the suburbs where they're all just houses in rows of the same house.
I don't think you are like seeing the concept in the way that it would be implemented. Because if you stacked them all up like that, you've completely negated having them in the first place. Now you just have a grid of endless city that you still have to navigate through, rather than making space for like the green space and things, which is the point of having the 15-minute city, is still being able to like have your green space and whatnot. Because the 15-minute city is meant to negate like carbon footprints and environmental damage and to be sustainable. but not to like lay out a swath of humanity that is as far as you can see with just like tiny grids of 15-minute walkable cities surrounded by neighborhood or whatever. Man, that is horrifying to picture in my brain. That would be the opposite of what you would want from a real 15-minute walkable city.
Mm-hmm.
That would go the opposite direction, which is the way that the people who dislike it are picturing it when you read their commentary. But if you don't like the area you're in because you don't like your neighbors or whatever, I mean, I've hated so many neighbors. That's just life, though, because I don't like most people. If you get fired from your job, I mean, every other job is within a 15-minute walk to you. And we live in a world with more work from home opportunities. You would hope in the future there will be more. God, you hope in the future there will be more.
I hope so bad.
Mm-hmm. I think it'll become more and more possible as as technology progresses. I mean, I feel like it's kind of inevitable. It's a way to save space. It's a way to save time.
You would hope, but then you would think, but like the way that things are, companies don't really like it.
Yeah, how is it bad for business, I guess?
Micromanaging.
Yeah, they can't manage what you're doing.
Realistically, it saves a lot of money and really helps in the long run not to have a centralized office if you don't need one. But
The companies out of New York and stuff say that they don't like people working from home outside of their state, because I've looked at a lot of jobs from up in that area, because then they have to pay a bunch of different people a bunch of different rates, because work from home laws are such that, like, in New York, they can pay one person in this position $50,000 a year, but another person living, say, down here in Arkansas is making $30,000 a year doing the exact same job, and they have to offer different benefits to both people because of labor laws are different in both states, and because they have to follow labor laws of wherever that worker is coming from. Yeah, I guess that's how it works. And that they find it to be a hassle and an HR nightmare, and so they're not going to hire you to work from home unless you live within the boundaries of New York State, for example.
Yeah.
So basically, it seems like we just need better policy for stuff like that.
Yeah, it's very new. So maybe you're right, Kieran. Maybe things will improve because we get better policies and shit. But
we just need to have forward-thinking people in office,
which we don't really have.
Not enough of them. Anyway, yeah. Also, in none of the policies that I've been reading about the 15-minute cities, nobody is taking anybody's car away. So nobody's taking your, like, ability to travel or have variety or, like, lose out your vacations or your opportunity to go places. So a lot of the things I've been reading in the articles were like, people are mad because now they won't be able to go places because they're losing their personal freedom of mobility and to go to see places and do things and all this other stuff that they want to be able to do. They're just confined to their one space and to wherever they can walk. But that nobody is ever proposing taking away people's means of transportation, because if you want to go travel 4 hours away to go do whatever you can, we're just proposing putting stores nearby and school and businesses. But that if you still want to drive 4 hours away to go see the aquarium or whatever, of course, do that. I pulled up some actual city planning stuff from the Netherlands, where it said that for the 15-minute cities that they have been building over there, they put things like the cinema and like the malls or whatever at the edges of the 15-minute city. For one thing, so that if there are two of these little, they called them 15-minute neighborhoods, which is, I think, what you were describing a second ago, suburbia. 15-minute neighborhoods, because it's different, I think, than a 15-minute city. So you would put your, like, cinema, according to their plans, on the edge of the 15-minute zone, and then people from various of these little neighborhoods can all get to it from all of their different neighborhoods. And places like the stores and the cinema and stuff are all centralized in the one area that everybody can get to. But then their neighborhoods themselves have things like smaller stores and things like, I would think, like a bodega maybe from New York.
Mm-hmm.
Or like a Dollar General, of Arkansas fame. Because we have one of those around every corner. Me and Cody counted Dollar Generals on our drive to Florida because it got so ridiculous that there were so many that we made it a game.
That is so funny.
It's a Southern staple.
Yeah. But that the Netherlands article was talking about how there's still roads and things and you can still drive away if there's something you want that's somewhere far away. But the idea was to just have as many necessities close to you as possible to reduce the amount of driving you're doing.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Just making everything so that if you want to go, go. But if you just want to like hang out in town, yeah, it's possible.
And to reduce traffic jams, because in particular, I mean, places here in the U.S., places like L.A., New York, stuff, but those huge cities that I have never been to, but that I know from the people I know who have been to them or live there, is the biggest nightmare for traffic.
It is. Fucking hell. I've been to these places.
You've been to those places?
Yeah.
I know one lady on my Facebook lives near San Francisco, and I've seen her complain on Facebook that she can spend more than an hour in a single traffic jam just trying to go slightly down the road.
Yeah. Like, I used to go back and forth in Virginia between my dad's house and my mother's house, and it could sometimes end up being a 4-hour drive for like what should be maybe like 20 minutes of driving.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
For like the UK, mostly I've seen in a lot of the articles from over there that they're looking at this really seriously because they have so many problems with traffic that they want to restructure some of their city plans and redo some of their streets to make it so that people are not driving as much because their traffic congestion is so horrendous in some places that it's like that. Trying to go 5 minutes down the street is taking you an hour, causing wrecks and things like that.
God, it should not be like that.
There's so much exhaust getting pumped into the atmosphere from a 5-minute car ride that's taking an hour. Anyway, I'll move forward. Sorry. I never expect one of you to disagree with something or agree with the opposing side of things that we had to stop and talk about it to understand what had just happened.
It usually doesn't happen.
We usually
No, it usually
agree.
doesn't.
But I can understand why people would think that that's a dystopia.
Well, my follow-up sentences was going to be about how the dystopian nightmare side of things is largely purported by people who are in the far right section of things and who like supported Trump and are conspiracy theorists. And then I opened my mouth to say those things and Karen went, yeah, I get that. And I was like, whoa, pump my brakes.
I mean, it's not a personal hell to me, but I can imagine that some people, I mean, it just feels like you'd be inside all of the time. I'm still thinking of just that one place, but I know that that's not true.
Oh, that one apartment building?
Yeah. I think that actually a 15-minute city sounds divine to me.
I think in that one place where that apartment building is, it gets so cold. I think it's why they ended up doing that.
It's Alaska. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Slap my ass and keep going. I don't know why I put it like that, but
okay.
I cannot be held responsible for things that my mouth does all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Don't hold me responsible. I have no responsibility. I'm a wreck.
Okay. So people look at the 15-minute cities as who are in the against it camp as a restriction on their routines. Like the people on the far right specifically, they think it sounds like the first step to draconian government lockdowns that will confine people to their homes, quote. So the 15-minute city has become a source of conspiracy theories, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit.
Conspiracy theories. It's been a while since we had one of those.
Yeah, and I opened some other conspiracy theory tabs while I was reading about this, the weird little ones that popped up surrounding this, some bigger, better ones.
Bigger, better conspiracy theories. Like we needed more.
So, the idea behind the 15-minute city is nothing new, and it's familiar to anyone who has, like, if you've ever been to Europe, their historic villages, or like the way the medieval streets and city centers are all laid out. That's basically a 15-minute city. Or like the main streets on like an older city, like the one that I grew up in, or like especially the ones that were built before post World War II and the like sprawl that happened after the interstate system was put in place.
Mm-hmm.
We've had 15-minute cities for a really long time. Just nobody calls them that because the term was coined like relatively recently.
Mm-hmm.
In 2012, Portland, Oregon adopted a plan for, quote, 20-minute neighborhoods in which residents could live within a half mile of amenities like grocery stores, parks, and elementary schools. And the concept started gaining momentum during the pandemic, which altered both the daily lives of like just so many, everybody.
Literally everybody.
I mean, I guess not literally everybody, because there was plenty of people who said, I'm not going to do what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm going to do what I want. Yes. But most people's lives were changed. And so people started like being all cooped up at home. And so like the ideas about the future of urban design changed a little bit. Proponents say 15-minute cities are healthier for residents and for the environment because they encourage walking, they discourage reliance on cars and all the fossil fuel emissions into the atmosphere. During the pandemic, lots of cities got really into the idea of 15-minute cities because of the pandemic and the thought of making their cities more livable and sustainable.
Mm-hmm. But then that died down because everyone was like, oh, wait.
COVID's over! Sorry.
Karen, way at the top, you said something about France.
Yeah, I heard that France had actually done, I guess, what would be considered the modern 15-minute city, even though they probably have 15-minute cities already that were just naturally built that way, like you said. So, because 15-minute cities were just towns.
Yeah. Do you know where? I know where. I wrote it down, but do you know where before I tell you where?
No, I just know France.
I bet you'll be surprised. What city in France is
Nice?
trying to do this?
Is it?
No. No. Em, do you want to guess?
Can I guess? Can you test my French knowledge?
Oh, sure.
Okay, so you said it's not Nice.
Is it Paris?
Is it Paris?
Now hold on, we were doing a quiz.
Oh, no. It's not Paris. Champagne?
Okay, this city has a city underneath it.
Good
A
lord.
city underneath it. Oh, it is Paris.
Yeah.
Paris?
Do you know the very first Bloody Mary was made in Paris?
That doesn't surprise me.
The drink or the ghost?
The
The
drink.
cocktail.
I'm sitting here like, what? Oh, wait, no, there's a drink.
I did not know that. There are no stop signs in Paris.
Good
That's
lord.
wild.
That is wild.
Why would they not? I don't understand.
Different traffic flow, probably.
Well, I do know that they have, like, roundabouts.
Run the boots.
Roundabouts.
Well, we have roundabouts here. Like, we are the city of roundabouts, quote, quote. We have, like, 30 roundabouts, and we're not even that big of a city, but we still have stop signs on our non-roundabout streets.
Yeah.
Paris has 450 parks and gardens.
Well, good for them.
Did you know that Paris is not even the largest French-speaking city in the world?
What's the largest one?
Kinshasa, which is the capital city of the Democratic Republic of Congo.
There you go.
Paris is a 2-hour city. It takes 2 hours to walk from the north to the south of Paris.
Oof.
Not like I'm ever going to do that in my lifetime.
No, me neither. Not with my broken knee. So, yeah, it is Paris, though. One of the most aggressive efforts to make a 15-minute city has been in Paris, where before the pandemic, the mayor, Anne Hidalgo, effectively declared like a quote-unquote war on cars in an effort to reduce their planet warming emissions. She made the idea of a 15-minute city the center of her plan. She says, quote, "First, the rhythm of the city should follow humans, not cars. Second, each square meter should serve many different purposes. Finally, neighborhoods should be designed so that we can live, work, and thrive in them without having to constantly commute elsewhere." Quote.
She's right, though.
So yes, so for me, the 15-minute city concept, or the 15-minute neighborhood, I suppose, since there are so many big cities, seems so nice because I'd love to live in a place, even if it's a small place inside of a bigger place, where I can walk to things that I want to be at, and then commute to larger, more family attraction type places that I want to go to. Like commuting to a destination and then coming home and being able to walk to all of my daily essentials seems like a nice idea.
Yeah, I agree.
Some people are just really afraid of it.
Yeah.
Don't change my life. People don't like change.
Lots of people like to have lots of space, and sometimes they just want lots of space because they're introverts and they don't really want all that much going on around them, or because they're terrible people and they don't want anyone to hear what's going on in their space. Looks at the far right. But I digress.
So, these people who are afraid of it, the first part of the idea of the 15-minute city, the focus on people, is what's driving the pushback mainly. The 15-minute city has turned into the next cause for concern after the COVID lockdowns and mask wearing and the vaccine and etc. and the perceived war on people's social liberties. Personal liberties.
Oh my God.
Sorry. Yeah. As a matter of fact, in this picture that I pulled up, because it made me chuckle that I had used an example and then clicked into this article and they were also using the example. In the background is another protester holding a sign that says "Mums Against Jabbing Children."
Wow. Okay.
So, there's both kinds of people existing in these pictures. So, somebody named Jordan Peterson, who is, I believe, from Canada, I read in one article. He's a psychologist and a commentator who's critical of the left and runs a popular YouTube channel. He says, quote, he's warning people of the, quote, idiot tyrannical bureaucrats deciding where people can drive, and said 15-minute cities, quote, are just another fad hijacked by wannabe authoritarians, quote.
It's not a fad. It's just a way that we used to live, and we kind of want to get back to the basics. Because if it were up to me, rather than 15-minute cities, we'd have plots of land where we garden and sustain ourselves rather than go to the friggin' big shops. But also, that idea is not necessarily accessible. So,
if it were up to me, I would be a gnome.
Yeah.
But things are not up to me.
It's not really up to me.
But I don't know this song.
The concept of the 15-minute city has also been caught up in broader conspiracy theories about efforts to remake society, quote, quote, as the world emerges from the pandemic. And this is rough because the focus of these theories has come about because of an effort by a group called the World Economic Forum called the Great Reset. Now, like with several things now, I would really love to hear what you think that means if you don't already know.
Dinosaurs.
Okay. Hold on. Now, who are these people?
Well, it's a group called the World Economic Forum, and the movement is called the Great Reset.
I mean, it sounds bad. It doesn't sound great, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. But also, I really don't have a problem with a reset.
How do you think they mean the Great Reset?
This is definitely a far right group, and they're just gonna purge the world of minorities. So, tell me how bad they are.
And what do you think?
Meteor, asteroid, dinosaurs, coming down. Not the dinosaurs, meteors, or asteroid. The asteroid coming down. We start from the goo.
What?
We start from the goo.
We start from the goo. Now, are you... Now, okay. Now, serious?
Anything that's called anything like the Great Reset coming from any group that I don't understand or know frightens me. That's a terrifying title.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I would hope that they mean like the great financial reset in which we just stop money and money dies and we're just like, okay, let's no one is rich or poor anymore. We're just people and we're like, remember money? Yeah, forget that. That doesn't matter anymore. Are you a good person? Good. Here, have some bread. Here, have a shot. Like, are you a bad person? Oh, you're shot. I don't know.
You're not okay.
No, I don't know what the Great Reset is, and I'm afraid. Please explain it to me and tell me why I don't need to be afraid.
Okay. The initiative began in 2020 with the help of a cinematic video narrated by then Prince of Wales, now King Charles III, who called for, quote, bold and imaginative action in pursuit of a more equitable and sustainable future.
Oh, okay, that kind of good reset.
What?
Yeah, so the Great Reset was the name of a plan proposed by King Charles III, calling for bold and imaginative action in pursuit of a more equitable and sustainable future.
So it's nothing.
But man, doesn't it sound scary? Just the
It
name?
does! Jesus Christ! I was so afraid! I was like, oh my god, this is a far-right, like, death group! They're gonna kill everybody! Fuck!
Yeah. So, the far-reaching but vague plan from the group, which is a non-governmental organization best known for its annual meeting of business leaders in Switzerland, became, like, really the fodder for concerns, some more reasonable than others, about an unelected global elite using the pandemic to reorder life as we know it.
Okay. And they're just getting it from the name.
Yes.
And they're not looking into this shit at all?
No, but what did you feel like when you heard the name?
I went, oh my god, what actually is it?
Yeah, well, you both said, so this is clearly a far-right group looking to kill us all and restart life as we know it.
Yeah.
Damn. I was like, I'm hoping it's not, but damn, it sure feels like it.
Yeah. Well, that's where conspiracy theorists went too.
Oh my god. Oh no. Are we conspiracy theorists?
Yes, we are, but in a
Oh my
fun
God.
and a relatable way where everybody likes listening to us.
And we're queer.
Oh yeah, there's that too. Also, we don't wear hats.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I do kind of like hats, but not like a lot.
You don't really wear hats. You wear hair accessories, my friend.
Yeah, because my hair is long now, and I have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So the group, the World Economic Fund, the group itself acknowledged in a video that the Great Reset branding, quote, hasn't gone down well, and that it sounded as if it was, quote, masking some nefarious plan for world domination, quote.
It really was, though.
No kidding.
Just added some fuel to the fire, yes.
Yeah. They're like, it sounds like we're trying to take over the world. But we're not.
We swear.
We're not trying to take over the... Oh my god! No! You silly Billy. That is
Don't
not...
be silly.
That's not even... God. Oh, this is so embarrassing for you. We're not trying to take over the world. Oh my god. Like, can you imagine?
God.
I mean, what would I even... Crazy. But thank you.
Really love that you think so highly of me. You know,
Yeah.
it's a good idea.
Maybe I should enter my villain era. I don't know. But I can't. I'm too quirky. I'm so sorry. Please make me stop.
Okay, Karen, let's move on.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mark Dolan, a host on GB News, which is a Fox News-style TV channel that began last year, warned viewers of what he calls the, quote, dystopian plan, quote, being pursued by several communities that depends on, quote, a surveillance culture that would make Pyongyang envious, quote.
Ooh, okay.
And he's just talking about the 15-minute city.
That's so... okay. Wow.
I mean, listen, I get the fear that if you're in a small enclosed, because what they're thinking of the 15-minute city, I feel like they're just thinking of that one building. Because every time that they talk about it, I'm just imagining that one place in Alaska, and I'm like, yeah, I can see why you would hate it. Because I would hate it. I don't want to, like, live in a hotel. I don't care if it's a condominium. It's hotel-sized.
Like CCTV on every corner, of which there are only 4.
Yeah. So, no, I don't believe that actual 15-minute cities are bad, obviously. But, oh God, the idea of living in that kind of space just freaks me out.
Karen, you act like you're gonna be put in the fucking Shining.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Looking at that place, I'm like, oh my God. I'm going to be living in a hotel. I would be living in a hotel.
Entire liminal space.
Yeah, just a pocket dimension where all of your needs are met. You have everything. You have no excuse or reason to leave. But, like, if you're a person like me and doesn't like to spend money on themselves, like, leaving would cost money.
Yeah, you'd be in a bad space.
Yeah.
But also, you're not going to be living in a single building unit in fucking Alaska, where you rely on this to stay warm. So.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm just, I need someone to, I guess I just needed to explain my thoughts and why why I'm afraid of it, but not in the way that these people are afraid of it.
Not in this way.
I'm not afraid of it in the racist way. Okay?
You're just afraid of it in the phobic way.
I'm just afraid of it in the, claustrophobic way.
Anyway.
So the conspiracy theorists are having like a real field day with this one, but especially on TikTok it's really bad because conspiracy theories thrive on TikTok.
Really?
Yeah, are you not on conspiracy theory TikTok?
Do I sound like I would be on conspiracy theory TikTok?
I mean, I see stuff over there sometimes.
Well.
But it's mostly what happened was, I started watching videos from one guy who's an archaeologist, and his literal whole platform is debunking conspiracy theories that relate to archaeology.
Oh, we love those.
Yeah, like the people who are like, look, they found the bones of a giant, and he's like, oh my God, you're so stupid. And stuff like that, and breaking down how this is a hoax and stuff. Or they'll be like, and they found this bone, and it has a hole in it because it's a vampire. And he's like, no, listen to me. Like, or the people who are like, and they put cages over the Victorian graves because they were so afraid of vampires. And he'll come on and be like, hey, it's Milo. They did that because of body snatchers.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm watching his videos, occasionally the other people will come up on my feed sometimes, the actual conspiracy theory videos. You just don't interact with them. You just watch them, move on.
Yikes.
And if you're over on History Talk, you see a lot more of it, I guess.
Oh, yeah. History Channel. That's where it all got its start, was the History Channel.
Or if you're on Indigenous Talk, you end up seeing a lot of it.
Wait, really?
Yeah, well, because people will comment on the Indigenous creators' TikToks, especially if they're about, like, creatures or mythology or whatever. Or you might also see it not on Indigenous TikTok, because I follow a lot of Indigenous creators, but you'll might see it if you follow anybody who lives in the Appalachian region, because they'll be like, yeah, you didn't really hear those noises in the wood, and they'll post their videos, you know? And so you end up, from those videos, it's really easy to get to the conspiracy videos related to those sounds.
Really?
Just the same way if you're watching an indigenous... Yeah, just the same way if you're watching an indigenous video taking place around like the Navajo, for example, out in the desert, and they'll be like, definitely didn't hear that noise out in the middle of the desert, huh? Then it's really easy to get from a video like that from an indigenous creator over to somebody talking some conspiracy nonsense about that.
Yeah, because, I mean, the algorithm is like, oh, you like cryptids. Well, this guy likes cryptids. This guy also likes the Illuminati. Do you like the Illuminati? And you're like, no. And the algorithm's like, oh, okay, you don't like the Illuminati. And they're scrolling through later and they're like, do you like the Illuminati now? You're like, no. And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
Comes back later. Do you like the Illuminati now? And you're like, still no. What about flat Earth? And you're like, really?
Yeah. And, but because I like watching the indigenous creators talk to me about the,
Myths.
scary creatures whose names we don't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
I watch those videos, and then every now and again I just get the other ones that are more conspiracy theory than actual videos from indigenous creators.
Man, that's so
Yeah.
mean. I can't believe they do this to you.
It makes TikTok an interesting place.
Yeah, you're the least crazy person I know. Maybe not the least. When I say crazy, I mean like far right.
I like to think I'm pretty far away from far right.
Oh yeah. Some might even say, you're radical. And then they do the shaka hand signal. Do you know the
Nope.
shaka from Rocket Power? But I think it's Hawaiian.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it's Hawaiian in nature, but like shaka.
yeah, I know that.
Yeah,
I know that hand thing.
yeah.
Do you want to keep going?
Yeah.
So, the people over on TikTok say that any renewed push for the 15-minute city is simply a way to control citizens, track movements, limit mobility, and eventually create prison-like zones.
Okay.
Yeah, they say, think of it like a climate lockdown. Opponents of the 15-minute city structure say the European concept doesn't translate well to the layout of North American city design and could potentially cause further inequality. But that's a more academic debate around urban planning, economics, gentrification. I talk about it more a little bit further down.
Mm-hmm.
People who are against the 15-minute city idea say that sprawling cities offer a lot more stuff to do, things to buy and sell, places to work, people to meet, and that's why they manage to be richer and more attractive places than smaller, isolated communities, despite all the traffic, noise, crime, pollution, and general urban dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
The conspiracy theorist who thinks the 15-minute city is the gateway to some dystopian future, a la Hunger Games. This is the scene in their heads, as written by somebody named Fergus O'Sullivan over at Bloomberg. Also, this picture came off of that article, and that's why I thought it was funny, because I wrote that sentence and then opened up that article, and this was the picture that it gave me.
Okay. Wow. It's right on the nose.
Yeah. I opened the article and I went, whoa, okay. So this is the beginning of the article from Bloomberg. It says, quote, so Fergus O'Sullivan wrote for Bloomberg, quote, it's the year 2049 and residents of the UK city of Oxford are unable to leave their neighborhoods. If they do, a network of cameras installed years earlier under the guise of easing traffic congestion track their movements. If they stray too far from their registered addresses, a £100 fine is automatically removed from their bank accounts. The only cars now allowed on the streets belong to representatives of the world government who relentlessly patrol the city for anyone breaking the rules, quote. So that scene is what's happening in conspiracy theorists' brain, who think that this is going to be like the Hunger Games.
Fucking
And it was
idiots.
Yeah, it was triggered by plans to place restrictions on through traffic on like 6 roads to fix some traffic flow issues that Oxford as a city was having.
Ah.
Yeah.
This is where my complicated relationship with the government begins, in that I too do not trust the government.
Nobody should trust the government all the way.
Yeah.
You just shouldn't take it too far.
Yeah.
Because you can trust your government up to a certain point, and then you should start distrusting them about some things. But if you take it too far, you fly right back the opposite direction into the bad category.
Exactly.
But no, this was sparked because in Oxford, they have such a problem with traffic that they decided they were going to put up some cameras on 6 roads that were particularly bad, that you would not be able to go through at certain times without like special permits saying that you were allowed to go down those roads during those times.
Okay. It really is an innocuous reason.
Yeah. It was just literally that there was such bad traffic that they said, okay, well, we're limiting how much traffic can come down these roads during these certain times unless you're allowed to be here during those times. It's the same. So downtown Little Rock, it has the signs up on the stoplights that say, like, during such and such hour and such hour, nobody's allowed to turn right here or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's basically the same thing, except
Yeah.
in Oxford, they put up cameras that if you went down the road and you didn't have the special permit attached to your car or whatever, it would scan your license plates so that they could issue you a fine for going down there if you weren't supposed to be down there.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. And
Don't they kind of do this with traffic now?
yeah.
Like running red lights?
I mean, they do it all over the place. Anyway, yeah.
It's just a
But-
very specific instance, I guess. And
Yeah, this stuff to fix the traffic issue was rolled up into a plan to do some restructuring of the city anyway in the 15-minute city plan, and because their traffic is just horrendous, and people just latched onto it as being like, oh, this is just the beginning of a dystopian nightmare situation where the government is trying to make it so we're not allowed to leave our house.
I have a feeling that these are just people who aren't able to drive down that road anymore, and they're very upset about that because
It
they're
is.
like, no, I need to get down this road at this time. And then they're on that road at that time and the traffic is terrible. And they're like, why doesn't somebody do something about this?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, then the people at the city place are just like, there's just no winning with these people.
Yeah, as it goes. So on February 18th, there was an estimated 2,000 demonstrators that gathered in central Oxford because of this new traffic situation. And 5 people were arrested during the demonstration because they were demonstrating against there being the cameras there to help with the traffic issue.
Guys, listen. I'm afraid of 1984 as much as the next sci-fi nerd. But it's just to stop the traffic. I promise it's not some crazy spyware that the government is trying to keep tabs on every little bit of minutia that is going on with you. The city can't afford that.
No. The efforts to limit vehicles from going places that they aren't supposed to be at has been an increasingly common thing in UK cities. And, like, it's faced opposition every time. But the Oxford issue took a weird turn because some protesters described the cameras as an effort to carve Oxford into 6 sealed off 15-minute cities and that's just weird because conflating walkability with dystopian futures of surveillance and oppression takes some real work. But even like a member of the British government called 15-minute cities, quote, an international socialist conspiracy.
Okay. What the fuck?
I'm just going to walk right into it and say, you know what? Yes. Yes. The socialists are getting together and we are planning our 15-minute cities. And you know what? You're not invited, Boris. You can stay the fuck away. All right? You and all of your big city twats can do your whole thing. And us weird, freaky, queer socialists are going to go live in our 15-minute cities, and we're going to stack them all next to each other in a big hex, because you know what? Hexes are cool.
We're gonna live in a hive?
Yeah, we're going to live in a hive like bees, or like a D&D map.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? We're going to like it. And we're going to build my transport system underneath.
Wow.
So there you go. You heard it here first, folks. Socialists are teaming up to form 15-minute cities. Can you stop us? No. Will you join us? No. You're not invited. We don't want you. Go live in your bunker or whatever. I probably need to start a bunker, actually. We live too close to Ohio.
Okay.
So now that we've cleared that up for all the folks
Yeah, it's like suggesting that parks are part of a plant worshipping plot to demolish our homes and replace them with grass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely want to do that. I want to
I'm not
plant
a big
so
fan
many
of
parks.
grass.
I'm going to plant so many parks, and you're not going to stop it.
And like, I wrote the thing about the Hunger Game, and then later in the article, they were talking about the Hunger Game because people are really making the comparison that 15-minute cities is the first steps toward us living in the Hunger Games.
Because it's the one dystopian film that all of these moms have seen.
So these people are really actually saying that they think 15-minute cities is just the first step toward us living in Hunger Games society where we will not be allowed to leave our prescribed areas. It's just weird. Even these cities are supposed to be a route to low traffic, low carbon footprint future, and they see it as a slippery slope to living in open air prisons.
Open air prisons.
But so now that we've said all that, it doesn't mean that the 15-minute city framework doesn't have legitimate concerns. So critics of hyper-local planning policies have highlighted how they might displace less affluent residents. So we can look at Barcelona that has something called a superblock system, where through traffic is restricted to a small part of the city grid to cut pollution and increase car-free public space. Others dismiss the approach as hopelessly utopian for North American cities because in North America, our cities have largely sort of been planned around the automobile use.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So we just don't have the right setup already going for us here. And our cities are socially and racially segregated because of way back, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we're starting out operating at a far more entrenched level than what people over in like Europe and other places are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So here in North America, it would be a lot more difficult to put this kind of thing in place.
Yes. Unfortunately.
Those are the actual real criticisms of it. Now, the conspiracy theorists, they have a lot of crazy stuff to say, but those are the real criticisms.
Yeah. And those are valid points.
Mm-hmm.
You know, by people who actually research this sort of thing. Rather than a guy who just
Made a TikTok.
Made a TikTok and watched the Hunger Games for the 15th time. God. Well, I have to agree. I'm not sure that the 15-minute city would work here, but I would like to see. I would like people to give it a shot. I mean, I think it could. Sorry.
No, I interrupted you. Go on.
I just think that it would be interesting to see if, you maybe rather than increasing the divide in the classes, it actually provides an equalizer because everyone will be able to go to work consistently because it's not that far. Everyone would be able to, go to school consistently. I don't know. I could see the benefits of it too. So I would like it to be experimented on here. And more than just that building in Alaska. Please, for the love of all that is good, make it like somewhere in California.
No, California gets everything.
They do get everything. Do it here in Illinois. Don't worry, I'll talk to the governor. He seems nice.
Here's a picture for you to look at as we wind down of a 15-minute city concept.
Ooh, I've wanted to see one. Ever since I heard about it, I was like, okay, but what does it actually look like? Okay. So in the center for our viewers, in case you don't go to the research page, here's what it looks like. You have your home in the center, and then it's kind of like a clock. So at 12, you have learn. At 3, you have work. Is that 3? No. At 1, you have work. 2 is share and reuse. Oh, I guess like you take your garbage there. Yeah. Or not garbage necessarily, but like recyclable things.
Yeah, it looks like somebody fixing a chair.
Yeah. And then at 3, you have your grocery. 4, you have enjoy the outdoors. So like a park. That's cute. 6, you have be engaged in your community. And they got like someone putting on a play.
Sure you were about to say being gay, and I was like, oh!
Be gay in your community. I mean, there is a play going on, so. And then at 7 is take care of your health. So you got your doctor. At 8, there's an example of the metro that would go around the city, which is awesome. And then at 9, you have stay active. So it looks like one person looks like they're skiing.
Like
another person's doing a pull-up. Yeah, so like a gym, probably. And then at 10, you have eat healthy, which is, I guess, rather than a grocery, it's more of a farmer's market. So that's cool. Man, they make it look so nice in this picture.
I mean, it's supposed to be nice. That's supposed to be the point.
It looks delightful.
Yeah.
But it's not actually 15 minutes everywhere.
No.
What if you want to go from learn to do a play, huh?
Well, that's what they're saying. Yeah, it's 15 minutes all the way across, I think.
No, it would be 15. It's 15 minutes from your house to anywhere. So your house is the center of your neighborhood, basically. You're putting your house at the center. So it takes you 15 minutes from your center, your home, to get wherever you're going. That's why from home here, you can see if you look along home to say eat healthy, it says 15 minute up to eat healthy along that little path.
I thought it was extending all the way. But yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So if you wanted to walk from learn down to be engaged in your community solidly all the way there, like straight down, it would take you 30 minutes to walk that walk. Or if you wanted to go in a full circle around, it would take, let's see, 15 minutes. It's 15 minutes then between learn to work to share and reuse to blah, 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 and all those. So
it would just be nice if, like...
But then they're offering that you would still have a bike, or they get this little public transportation dealy down here if you do need to get to further apart places. Yeah, because the concept isn't everything is so crammed together that you could literally walk everywhere, that if you needed to go to further places, you would have a way to do it.
Yeah. Man. It just feels nice to look at.
It is nice to look at.
I want to live in this little tiny diagram.
It is a nice little diagram.
It would have been really nice to have been able to, especially because, so my mom worked closer to DC. Like, she worked in Reston and some other places around DC throughout my childhood. So for her, it was like she would have to get up at 4 in the morning and leave at 5 just to, go to work. Because that's how long it would take her to get to work at 6 or 7. Because traffic would be really bad some days. Like, it was an hour to drive there. And, geographically, it's not that far. It's just so full of people. So, just to be able to walk would have, if my mom could have just walked to work, we could have spent more time together.
That's nice.
We could have had breakfast.
Nice,
yeah. We could have had breakfast together.
It leaves a lot of time for your family.
Yeah. And isn't that the goal?
That is the goal. So, this says that as climate change and global conflict cause shocks and stresses at faster intervals and increasing severity, the 15-minute city will become more critical. Specifically, communities that foster and maintain social and economic relationships don't have to be wealthy, but they need to be walkable and safe, with both residential and commercial buildings intact. And for 15-minute cities to thrive, not just survive crises, they have to have plenty of mixed income and equitable housing, according to the Prince Charles thing, the World Economic Fund Forum people.
Mm-hmm.
He says that no, they can't all be just rich people and pushing out the poor people. They have to be mixed income, equitable housing with digital access available to them.
Awesome.
His
I mean,
group
yeah.
says, this is how neighbors can know and understand each other as local store owners and workers, colleagues, caregivers, educators, and friends. These are the people who come together when it matters most. The mutual aid groups that appeared during the pandemic exemplify the importance of social cohesion in a crisis, which only works if necessities are within a reasonable distance of where people live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So 15-minute cities are not medieval villages living in a constant state of crisis like they used to be.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, our cities and neighborhoods and such have a long history now, even here in North America, where we're a relatively baby country. Here in the United States, we're a baby country. And we even still have like a rich cultural history that makes up even our biggest places, like New York City. Think like, Harlem has its Renaissance and stuff like that. So it would be difficult because you can't just chop up a city like New York City into tiny places and call it a 15-minute city because, I mean, what if cutting something in half cuts up a neighborhood that has this rich cultural history? That's something you'd have to consider too.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it for big cities that are already the way that they are. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that there is a way to change things.
Mm-hmm. So here at the end to answer the listener question, because the question was, are they feasible? So
Mm-hmm.
just a quick thing. The pros of it is that cars make a disproportionate amount of emissions on our roads. It's pretty obvious why any scheme designed to cut down on their usage would be attractive if you're worried about climate change.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like the obvious health benefits of walking or riding a bike or a scooter or whatever, and the time saving of cutting down on your commute if you're one of those people who spends a long amount of time sitting in traffic jams all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Most of
attractive.
most of the plans that I have looked at for 15-minute cities while doing my research focus on increased diversity within 15-minute cities, meaning like multicultural neighborhoods and more development of mixed-use spaces designed to get people out of the house and more involved in your small community.
Mm-hmm.
And then the cons, like there are valid criticisms that we've addressed, and like existing experiments are all focused largely on Europe, where cities were designed for convenience of people rather than cars because they hadn't been invented yet.
Right.
Yeah.
And so here in the US, our cities, a lot of them were built ground up with like horse-drawn buggies or cars in mind.
Right.
Yeah, we
And
unfortunately were like, yeah, we got some shit we gotta move.
yes. And there's concerns that slicing cities up into smaller segments would encourage less diversity and less mixing between different neighborhoods and exacerbate existing segregation along lines like race or class.
Right.
Yeah.
And we brought up, like, way at the beginning, I think M said it, there's some criticism around the lack of accessibility and the erasure of people who can't walk or cycle everywhere that they need to.
Moving sidewalks. Moving sidewalks.
And that'd be nice because, like, M has some pretty horrible asthma. My husband has pretty bad asthma too. And I've got broken cartilage in my knee and chronic pain in my back. So like I can obviously walk for 15 minutes, but if I had to do it every day, I might have a real issue with my body.
Yeah. Well, and then there's also, I mean, there's my transportation idea. I mean, my pods someday will be realized.
So what do you think for the listener's question? Do you think, like, with the pros and the cons, those things are going to get hammered out? So the overall concept of what the 15-minute city is designed to do you think that that's feasible?
I think it would be nice if it was feasible. Let's put it like that. Right now, I don't really see it having a future here.
You think
in
it
the
has a
United
future
States.
elsewhere?
Yeah, most definitely. I just don't know that in my lifetime, I don't see it happening. I don't see any way for it to actually form and be something that people welcome. And, there's the accessibility issues and everything like that, and actually making it happen. Because we were just saying, it would cause a lot of problems in the United States just because of how we're built.
Mm-hmm.
So, Karen, and you?
I believe that it is feasible, yes. But they do have to be built from the ground up. I don't know that we can do it with cities that have already been built, especially massive metropolitan areas like DC or New York, Los Angeles. Like I don't think it's possible for places like that unless they really do reconstruct the entire city from the ground up, which is questionable.
There's also a lot that needs to be looked at, which is things like zoning laws, the fact that you can't have like a housing development and like you can't actually put a store in the middle of it. It has to be some special shit. Like it has to be ground up, take everything apart and put it back together.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of red tape, but outside of America, I believe that it is feasible. I think that there are some pretty cool places that would be built from this idea, and I would love to visit them. Just not Paris.
Okay. Yeah, and so where I'm at is that I think it's feasible in a lot of places. I think it's probably feasible in some places in the US, because there are places here that were built before cars existed, and even before buggies were widely used. Largely the places on the East Coast where people settled before horse and buggies were things that people really got around at all, like those 13 colony areas.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those places were built on a grid system that probably would lend itself to a 15-minute city design, but large chunks of this country were not. And so here, it would be really hard. So yeah, I think maybe building it from the ground up would probably be where you'd need to go.
Because a lot of those colonial places that you're talking about are historical sites. So a lot of yeah, like Williamsburg, Jamestown. The big one being Williamsburg because it was a colonial city. I mean, I wonder if Boston could be broken up. Or Philadelphia.
Yeah. I think the U.S. has too much going on in the way that we have decided to do our cities over here. Not just about the way the cities are set up, but because of the way that we've done our weird political systems and gerrymandered and redlining and whatever. That would make trying to incorporate the 15-minute city plan into our cities a nightmare logistically. Building one from the ground up, like you said, would probably be a good experiment.
Yeah. I think what would need to happen here is something like an invention or a new sort of technology that is kind of like the impetus of changing architecture and city planning. Kind of like the vehicle, the automobile. Because it changed the way everything was planned. So, like, the Sky Bridge.
You talking about your pods again?
I think... No. I think what will happen is, I think what M is suggesting, honestly, where we go up, that's more likely what will happen is we will go higher, and then the 15-minute cities will start to build around that because there's more room up there.
I mean, that's probably the direction we're heading in.
Yeah.
Human termite mound! Thank you, everybody, for listening. We would really, really, really love it if you would also join us in asking questions by heading to our website, whywouldyouskthat.com, and filling out that little form there. All we need is your question. I don't care how weird, how fucked up, how normal. I don't care how gross it is. Ask us the question. The only bar is no personal questions.
Thank you so much, Sherman Potter, for sending us a question.
Sherman Potter.
The first one to use our form. Also, don't forget you can email us at whywouldyouskthatpod@gmail.com. Again, that is whywouldyouskthatpod@gmail.com. So go ahead and send us an email there. And it would help us so much, so fucking much, if you would do us the honor of giving us a rating or a comment or, I don't know, subscribe or something. A thumbs up. Some positive impact. Just indicate that you listen to us. And that alone, that one click of a button, would shoot us through the stratosphere of joy. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And have a good whatever time it is.
1. Have a good one.
Bye!
Bye.